enough of the NFL. I guess let's move on to Draymond.
All right, so Clark, the Dolphins win today. Made me want to throw my arms in the air like Draymond. Hopefully hopefully there'll be nobody nearby to get punched in the
swing
face.
Around like you just don't care.
That's right. Just because I'm not a flopper, Clark. I'm not a flopper. So Draymond Green got suspended for the second time this year, third time ejected from a game for just for no reason, wildly swinging his arms, which he claims to sell a call, which I'm not sure what the hell call he's trying to sell. Nurkic basically barely touched him, and he was acting like he just got thrown out of a cannon or something. And swings his arms wildly, smacks Nurkic right in the face. Nurkic goes down. They kick him out of the game, which, the call was fairly obvious that, okay, that's what has to happen. And then the NBA suspends him indefinitely. So, I think that the most obvious thing to say about it is, look, the Warriors, you kind of did this to yourself. You've let Draymond kind of act this way for years now. Like, you lost the finals 7 years ago because of this guy. Like, this isn't new. Like, it's not some behavior like, oh man, what's wrong with Draymond? Why is he acting like that? No, he pretty much has done this his entire career. Now it seems to be happening more frequently, and it's worse when it does happen. We got the headlock with Rudy Gobert this year. We've got, multiple incidences of him acting like a crazy person. And, it's like, so part of me is like, well, Warriors, you kind of deserve what you get. I mean, you literally, like, you enabled this guy, right? Last year, you're like, oh, well, we don't have any championships without him. So, he stomps on, he punches Jordan Poole before last season starts, and then stomps on Domantas Sabonis in the playoffs. And it's like, oh, well, we still think, basically the argument was, well, the juice is still worth the squeeze, right? We're still winning. We still think we have a shot at the championship. So, we're not gonna do anything. And then now it's like, oh, well, he's got a problem and he needs to go get some help and take care of himself. It's like,
oh, okay.
Well, wait a minute. Wait a minute. So before he didn't have a problem before? Like it was totally fine before, but now it's not okay. So yeah, I think part of it is Draymond's not as good as he used to be. And the other part of the bigger part is the Warriors are not as good as they used to be. They don't intimidate anybody, which I don't really think Draymond really intimidated anybody, but nobody's afraid of them. So teams when they play the Warriors are coming at them. They're not worried about it. They played Minnesota a while back, and Anthony Edwards is talking trash to Draymond, telling him to shut up. So people are not intimidated by them. So this is one of the best way they can try to beat people is to, push them around and stuff, or do all of this nonsense, which that's the thing. It'd be one thing if Draymond was a tough guy, but he's really not a tough guy at all. He doesn't do tough guy stuff. He's taking cheap shots at people. So I think, I think Draymond's going to be out for at least a month. And then we'll see what happens. But the idea that they're going to fix this, especially when Draymond's like, yeah, I don't apologize when I agree with what I did, and it's like, when I intend to do it, I don't apologize for it. It's like, okay, that's a full on narcissistic way to go through life. I don't care as long as I agree with my intentions, as long as that's what I intended to do, I'm not apologizing for it. Like, good luck with that, you crazy person. So yeah, they let all that stuff go on, and then the Warriors, they didn't keep really suspend Draymond for any regular season games last year when he punched Jordan Poole, and then they give him a 4-year $100 million contract. So yeah, I certainly don't feel bad for the Warriors, but yeah, I think this is well deserved by him, and I think Draymond needs to clean it up because a lot of this is just ridiculous.
Yeah, there's a lot of cheap shots. One of the things there's a few points I want to make. So one, okay, Draymond Green is not valuable to the Warriors, or has not been valuable to the Warriors because of this crap. Okay, like you were saying, this isn't tough guy stuff. These are cheap shots. Draymond Green was valuable because he's a great defender. Okay, he can defend multiple positions. He's got a really high basketball IQ. He helps their offense function. A lot of games, he's kind of a point guard. Okay? All this other stuff is totally extraneous. Okay? Draymond basically, it seems like he gets himself really amped up and sometimes he gets a little too amped up, and then he pushes stuff way too far into this cheap shot stuff, you know. But I just, Colin Cowherd keeps making the point, and this was so funny this week because Colin Cowherd, who owns the Volume podcast network, in addition to being on FS1, and they had, well, I guess currently Draymond isn't on the Volume because they're redoing his contract or something like that.
I don't think he's doing podcasts during the season right now, but he will
Right,
be.
yeah. So they're negotiating his contract, and Colin Cowherd is trying to, seemingly, it's like he's trying to be objective about it, but he's not really, or he's making these arguments where it's like, well, there were tough guys in the 80s. There was Bill Laimbeer, and then there was Dennis Rodman. And it's like, yeah, but those are, first of all, that's like 30 years ago. Okay, the league is totally different now. And again, the stuff Draymond's doing, it's not tough guy stuff where it's in the flow of the game and you're trying to, like, intimidate somebody. It's just BS. I mean, I said this to you yesterday. The stuff with Rudy Gobert. I mean, that, to me, that was worse than the Nurkic thing. I mean, that was just the Nurkic thing was kind of in the flow of the game. I mean, he went too far, and he obviously should have gotten kicked out of the game, and he should have gotten suspended. But the Gobert thing, it's like a fight breaks out, and he just runs in there and puts the dude in like some people are saying headlock. I don't know if it's a headlock or a chokehold or what. But I mean, and then they're having to like get him off there, like, dude, get off him, and he's not getting off him. To me, that was way worse. But yeah, the whole stuff about, oh, he's a tough guy and all this stuff, again, that's not what made him valuable. And then, Cowherd's making these points about, oh, he's a really good employee and he's a really thoughtful guy. And I'm like, he probably is. Off the court, he's probably a really great guy. He clearly just gets on the court and he gets really amped up and he takes stuff way too far. So, yeah, I just, some of that was really ridiculous to me, pointing out all this stuff about, oh, he's an enforcer. It's like, they have enforcers in hockey. Dude, different sport. They let you fight in hockey. They've never let you fight in the NBA. Even in the 80s, they didn't let you fight. A fight would break out and then, they'd kick people out of the game and then that would be the end of it. You just move on. And, in hockey, you get in a fight and then you go in the penalty box for 5 minutes and then you keep playing. Like, that's a totally different point.
And the other thing is the enforcer guy in hockey, that doesn't exist the same way that it used to. It goes back to, like you said about the NBA, it's the same thing. Well, yeah, when you're talking about the 80s and the 90s, yeah, but we're not in that era anymore. Those blows with the excuses made for Draymond are just ridiculous. Okay? Now, that's not to say Draymond's a bad guy. I don't think Draymond's a bad guy. I think he's a really good guy. Like, he's going to have this whole other career, whole new career when he's done playing. Like, I think the guy's a good person. I don't think, and players like Draymond. I don't think he's like he's not one of these guys that everybody hates,
Yeah.
So it's not that he's a bad person, but I'm sorry, man, this stuff is not tolerable. I'm not. And now, that being said, I am not like crazy outraged that, oh my God, Draymond needs to be kicked out of the league. Like, get the hell out of here with that. But this is not, like, I'm sorry, this stuff shouldn't be going on. And, to act like, oh, well, I didn't mean to do, whatever. And it's like, dude, the incidences with him are so numerous. Like, I can't even count them on here. The time he kicked Steven Adams right in the where spot. I mean, punching LeBron in the balls. Like, this is par for the course for him. It's been his entire career. This is how he gets himself into, where he wants to be able to play well. And sometimes it just goes completely off the rails. And it's not the same thing as Dennis Rodman at all. Okay.
Yeah,
I think Dennis Rodman had some mental issues when he was in the league. He had some stuff he had to get worked out. Draymond's there for every game. We don't have to go to Vegas to find Draymond where he's out drinking with his friends. It's not like Draymond's not a mess. He's not a disaster of a human being. That would be different. Then we'd be having a different conversation. I think Draymond just has an impulse control problem, and he's never had to worry about it because nobody's ever really disciplined him about it. So he just continues to get, and he's gotten away with all kinds of nonsense forever. So
I think it's basically it's like look, when people are coming out defending him, I'm like, okay, guys, wrong time to really defend him. Like, you need to make this, the strong point needs to be made. He deserved to be suspended. He's been pushing stuff way too far. It's totally unacceptable, and he needs to get this together and stop doing this kind of crap. Like, and that's got to be the first thing. And then you can talk about he's a good guy and you're rooting for him and you want him to deal with this and get over it, but don't go way off the deep end and be like just almost excusing what's happening is just, well, it's just stuff happens and you just kind of deal with it. And it's like, well, no, because you don't see other players doing this stuff. Like, you'll see some games where stuff will happen and maybe a guy gets a flagrant 2 and then he leaves the game and then that's the end of it. It's like, I made a mistake in that instance. I'm sorry, whatever. Let's move on. And then you move on and it's fine. Because that's a situation where stuff happens. Okay. But when stuff happens over and over and over and over again, and also the other thing, people are saying, oh, well, the Warriors need Draymond to win championships. Yes, but they need him because of his basketball IQ, because of his defense. They don't need him because of this stuff. And I mean, if that to me is just so, it's like, if you're telling me that they need that to win, then how can you then say he needs to get this under control? Because you're not really, you're kind of speaking out of both sides of your mouth. You're basically saying, well, he needs to do this stuff, but he doesn't need to do this stuff. Well, which is it? Are you saying he needs to do this stuff because that to me just gets ridiculous. The only other point I wanted to make was, before he got suspended, I was watching Get Up, and Dominique Foxworth was making a point like, let's be careful about how much we suspend Draymond because this sets a precedent. So the next time some guy hits somebody in the head, you'd have to suspend him for that exact amount of games. And it's like, yeah, but dude, this is a totally different situation. Draymond has his own, the NBA referees probably have to have a day of meetings just to talk about how to deal with Draymond Green. Like, he's got a whole reputation around this stuff.
Well, the other thing, the NBA is telling us flat out, his punishment is directly related to past behavior.
Yes.
They're not. So this idea they're setting a precedent, no, they're not. They're directly telling you they're not setting a precedent. Like, that for that Gobert thing, nobody else was getting 5 games for that. Yeah. He got 5 games because of all the shit he keeps on doing, and it continues to happen, and all the stuff that happened in the past. And the NBA is telling us directly that that's what we're going to do. So, and then the people would indefinitely, suspended indefinitely. I don't know that I like that. You shouldn't be setting that. Again, setting the precedent thing. And I'm just like, they're suspending him indefinitely because they don't know what the hell to do.
Yeah.
Okay? The NBA is at their wits' end with this guy. They're like, Jesus Christ, what do we need to do to you, dude? Like, we continue to suspend you. You missed finals games. You cost your team a championship. What else do we have to do? And yet you can't control yourself for a month. Yeah. So, yeah, I think, it's ridiculous. And, we need to just, before we, I think I don't have anything else to say on Draymond, but look, what I do want to say is, though, it really sucks that the Warriors, because, if they'd have, I don't think this team was going to win anything, but, it sucks that it just feels like it's getting ruined now, just because now Draymond's just going off the rails, and that's unfortunate. But that being said,